Hi guys, welcome to my channel Beyond Knowledge. Today we are going to talk about Saturn. So this video is related to astrology. If you guys believe in astrology, if you like astrology, please continue watching this video. If you feel astrology is absurd, it's superstitious, you can stop watching this video. So in this video, I'm going to talk about Saturn. Saturn is one of the most dreaded planets in Vedic astrology. Saturn is associated with bad luck. Saturn is associated with difficulties, obstacles, painful situations in life. The same is the case with Ketu as well. So if you look at the number of people going to astrologers, if you just take a sample, at least 80% of them would be at the astrologer's doorstep when they are in their bad Saturn or Ketu. This is the time where they feel that their efforts have gone in vain. They would have made wrong decisions if you're a businessman. Even if you're very wise, you would have made wrong decisions, or you would be pushed into making decisions that you may not like. Now we are going to get into the subtle aspects of Saturn, right? Saturn, as you know, the planet is completely dark. I think there is some kind of a gas inside Saturn. It's not like other planets. It's like completely dark, and that's when they say that when Saturn comes into your life, your life becomes dark. The planet itself is dark in color. Saturn is on the outer ring, right? The orbit is on the outer ring, and Saturn moves very slowly. Saturn takes 2.5 years to cross one zodiac. So let's say Tula Rashi or Libra, right? To move from Libra to Scorpio, Vrishchika, it takes 2.5 years. From Scorpio to Dhanu, it takes another 2.5 years. It's a very slow moving planet. It's also called Mandan. Mandan in some languages means it makes your mind dull. You won't be able to take decisions in life. Everything goes on well in life, and suddenly during Saturn Dasha, you actually go through a lot of problems. Life suddenly becomes unpleasant. These are the common experiences what people share with me when Saturn starts. They go through multiple marriages. Somebody in the family actually meets with a death. There is grief in the family. There is a problem at work, loss of job, loss of money. General peace is not there at home. You are not able to sleep properly. Whenever 7.5 Saturn starts, or whenever there is Ardhashtama Shani or Ashtama Shani, or even during Saturn's Dasha, the experiences are almost the same, which is obstacles in whatever you do. Things move very slowly, or things don't happen. There is intense effort required to do something, but then it doesn't materialize. You slog and slog and slog, and at the end of the day, it doesn't happen. You can slog for 7.5 years, you can slog for years together. Finally, you become exhausted and you say that I don't need this, right? Saturn actually teaches you a lesson. Saturn actually helps you to reduce your ego. Saturn is a planet that teaches that life is impermanent. Life involves difficulties, problems. Your life is related to your karma. Whenever Saturn and Ketu happens, it actually looks at the old records of your previous birth, what you have done in your previous birth. Let's say you actually did a lot of harm to your wife in your previous birth, right? You were not a good husband. You actually physically abused her, mentally abused her. And then in this birth, Saturn would give you the same experiences what you had in your what you did to the other person in your previous birth. Though you don't remember it, Saturn actually teaches you a lesson. And whenever people go through Saturn's Dasha, in the middle of that Dasha, people actually start believing in karma, rebirth, and they ask why this is happening to me. What did I do? I didn't do anything in this birth. I am a gentleman, I'm a very decent guy. I don't get into others' affair. I am very straightforward and honest in my life. Why are all the problems in this earth coming to me? That's because Saturn looks at 50% of your current birth karma and 50% of your past birth karma. You don't have access to your past birth karma. You don't know it, so you don't understand why this is happening to me. But why Saturn is coming to you? Saturn is like a very hard abrasive chemical or a brush on to be used on a vessel which is dirty. So if you want to actually take the dirt out, you need to pour some acid, right? You need to put some abrasive, and then you need to actually scrub it very hard for the dirt to come out. So whenever you get into Saturn's Dasha, Saturn's period, the accumulated dirt, whatever you have within you, it can be called karma as well, or any of your negative qualities in this birth. It can be drinking, smoking, cheating, lying, adultery, whatever it is, it comes to light. And then you actually suffer the pain, and it makes you realize that you should not do this again in your life, because you're actually going through this birth is all about karma. So that is what Saturn teaches, but it teaches you in a very hard way, right? Let's say if you are weak in mathematics and your dad is asking you to go to a maths teacher to actually improve your score in maths, and then there are teachers who actually teach you in a very nice way, right, that you learn it, and there are teachers who actually scold you, or sometimes in some countries they also give you a small beating for you to learn it. So you may curse Saturn, you may not like Saturn, you may hate Saturn, but whatever you say, Saturn will do its job, because it is a karmic planet, it's an evil planet as per Vedic astrology. There is a good side to Saturn, but he's a taskmaster, right? He's a taskmaster. He gives you very difficult period, and you have to go through it. And when you go through it, it teaches you a lot of things about life. What is life? What is karma? How should you behave in this life? What are you going to take back with you? So all these lessons are taught by Saturn. You can be a king, you can be a multi-billionaire, but during Saturn's Dasha, you will learn a lesson. You will have problems in one way or the other, either through your spouse or through your children or work. You will lose your money. Anything can happen in Saturn. Whenever Saturn's Dasha starts, people say that I lose my peace of mind, I'm not able to sleep, I'm getting angry. This is very, very common phenomena, so you need not be really bothered about it. First thing what you need to know is you are actually going through Saturn, right? That's the most important thing, because if you don't know why you are suffering, then it is a bigger problem, right? Because when the problem gets bigger, you don't know why it happens, there is no cause to it, and you don't understand why are all bad things happening to me. And some people try to commit suicide in life because they don't understand the reason, right? They want to end their life. So the first thing what you need to do is understand that you are under the influence of Saturn. Saturn is activated in your horoscope, and when Saturn gets activated, you are expected to go through a bad phase. If you don't go through a bad phase, it means that you have done very little karma in your earlier life, or you might be in one of the houses which is liked by Saturn. For example, let's say Tula Rashi, Saturn gets exalted there. So it doesn't mean that people who are born in Libra or Tula Rashi will not have problems. They will also have problems, but it won't drive them to that extent where they feel like, my life is gone. But that said, I have seen a lot of people suffer very badly, though Saturn is a friendly house, a friendly sign, in their horoscope. So there is Saturn's Dasha that goes on for almost 19 years. And then there is 7.5 Saturn, when Saturn planet in your yearly transit, right? When it is one house before your Rashi, that's when the 7.5 Saturn gets activated. It is also called Sade Sati. So let's say you are Libra, your Rashi is Libra, your zodiac. So Saturn gets activated when it comes to Virgo, Kanya Rashi. So the 2.5 years it spends in Kanya Rashi, your 7.5 Saturn starts. And then when it comes to your own sign, that is the peak period where people actually go through hell. People say that I don't like living, this is horrible. Whatever I enjoyed in my life, it's become a big waste. So when Saturn gets to your own zodiac, your own Rashi, that's when you will feel maximum problems, and that stays for 2.5 years. And then Saturn goes to the next house, where it is the last phase of your Sade Sati. So 2.5 plus 2.5 plus 2.5 is 7.5. The first 2.5 years, you will actually start feeling the problem. There will be a lack of peace of mind, sleep, and there can be confusion, anger, frustration. There will be severe loss of money. There won't be any savings. The second 2.5 years will be like you will become a psychopath. You'll feel like extremely horrible. Life is horrible. That's when you make a lot of decisions. You actually need to slow down on a lot of things when you are in the mid of Saturn, or even during 7.5. Some people get married and then they get into a bad marriage. Some people try to open a company, or some weird thought can come into you. It will give you confidence to do that, and then once you do it, it becomes a big flop. So that's what happens during Saturn. It doesn't mean that during Saturn's 7.5 Saturn you should not do anything, you should be quiet, but you should actually think through the problem. Is it a wish to have or a must to have, right? If you take a lot of risk, then you may have to repent for it, because you never know what is Saturn's plan for you, right? He's like a director. He writes the story, screenplay, dialogue, everything. He fixes the actors, so you feel like your life is not in his control. So that is about 7.5 Saturn. The next one is Ardhashtama Shani. Ardhashtama Shani is Saturn is on the 4th house from your Rashi, and that goes on for 2.5 years. The effects are almost like 7.5 Saturn. It's problems, obstacles, pain, loss of loved ones, financial loss, emotional grief, divorces, court conflict, things not happening, failures, and then you have Ashtama Shani, which is Saturn is on the 8th house from your Rashi. Ashtama is 8, Ashtama Sthan, right? So it is 8th house. There also you'll also get the same flavor of going through a 7.5 Saturn. So now, how to deal with 7.5 Saturn? Saturn deals with hospitals, mortuaries, graveyards, iron ore mines, where there is loss, grief, extreme hard work. So be ready for extreme hard work during 7.5 Saturn, right? He is a taskmaster. Though you light gingerly oil in the temple, or though you do good things, maybe you'll be able to bear the effects of Saturn, but you won't be able to completely come out of it. So it's payback time, right? So you need to get a flavor of what you did for others in your lifetime, or it's an opportunity for you to correct yourself, but you're going to learn that lesson in a very painful way. The medicine is going to be very bitter, but then finally you will get cured of your disease. So the most important thing is to know that you are under the influence of Saturn, and how to behave during the period of Saturn. Saturn is a straightforward do-gooder, right? Though he does bad things to you, that's because you actually did that to somebody else. He is actually like a judge in the court, right? He follows the fairness principle. Whoever it is, whoever did a mistake, he is going to punish it. So we call those people very good people, isn't it? Whoever does a mistake, he punishes them. If you forgive them, you are like God. But he doesn't forgive you, he will definitely give you punishment. But he is very impartial. It's not that he will spare a rich guy, he will give problems to a poor guy. Nothing like that. Whoever is under the influence of Saturn will actually have that problem. So people like him actually. People like him, but people hate him and people like him. So he is such a kind of a character. So here we imagine Saturn as a human being, because it's a planet. You can say that it doesn't have any life, it doesn't have a brain to decide, but we are actually talking about the consequences of Saturn planet when it touches your when it passes over your natal moon or your Rashi. Okay, so that's about Saturn. So how to behave during Saturn period? Expect hard work to be done. There is no easy way to go out. Keep your mouth shut. Don't talk too much, right? Because Saturn can sometimes be in your tongue, where you will say things that you never thought of saying, and then you can land in a big problem. Let's say you are giving interview for a newspaper, or you are having a heated conversation with a boss. You may use words that is not, you are not your actual person. You may get frustrated, you might use words, it might hurt the other person, and you may have a big problem. So be quiet, know that you are going through Saturn. Try to avoid a non-vegetarian food on Saturdays. Saturn doesn't like killing other beings, right? Saturn believes that this earth is for everybody to live, not only for human beings, right? A chicken, a parrot, a rabbit, a cow, a buffalo, every being in this world has got the right to live. So if you think that you are the only person who is capable and eligible of living in this earth, try to remove that. Saturn doesn't like killing, right? Saturn likes people who always give charity to others, who helps poor people, who is a very nice person by heart, right? So this is again, food is related to culture, but I'm saying if people, when they eat meat during Saturn's time, they are under, you earn the wrath of Saturn, right? This is as per Vedic astrology. I'm not adding anything, right? Now it's mentioned in the scriptures, and it's a general practice where astrologers say don't eat meat, especially on Saturdays. Saturn is related to Saturday, so most of the bad things, sometimes you might see it happening on a Saturday. You'll have to see where Saturn is placed as well in your horoscope, right? In your natal chart, where Saturn is placed, and the effects can be based on that. So if Saturn is in the house of children, if Saturn is in the house of wealth, if Saturn is in the house of longevity, we'll have to examine that as well. So Saturn is to do with hard work. Saturn is a very nice guy, so you'll have to be a nice guy. If you're a nice guy, he will spare you to some extent. When I'm saying he will spare you to some extent, instead of getting 10 beatings, you will probably get 6 beatings, but be ready for the beating. There is no escape from that. I've seen the horoscopes of people who live in America, who belong to different region, who live in different parts of the world, different religion. They don't know what Saturn is all about, but they went through hell in their life. And when you look at their horoscope, they actually went through a 7.5 Saturn, or they went through a bad Saturn, right? So it doesn't mean that Saturn attacks a group of people in one particular religion or not. The general malefic effects of Saturn is felt by everybody whenever it passes through their natal moon or zodiac. And this is true. Some people don't analyze, but when you analyze it and you ask them, like, how was the year from 2010 to probably 2017 mid? And then they'll say that, oh, that was the time that, I lost my husband. That was the time that I, married twice and I got divorced. I don't know how I married that guy, how I made that decision. It just suddenly happened. I knew I was not happy with that guy, but I made a decision. So people forced me to do that. Or I don't know how I fell into that pit. So this is what happens. Saturn is very tricky. He wants you to experience negative things. He will push you into that. So that is the, characteristic of Saturn. Gingerly oil is something that is liked by Saturn. Every planets have something that they like. Black is the color of the Saturn, so try to wear black colored clothes on Saturdays. And you should take a bath in gingerly oil, which is, you need to apply your whole body with the gingerly oil, wait for half an hour, and then take a bath, because the Saturn's energy, when it falls on your skin, it actually permeates through the skin. It gets into your body and brain, right? It's like you are standing before a radioactive substance. You can't see the radioactive, energy, but then it gets into your body, right? When you look at sun, right, there is ultraviolet rays. It's going to spoil your eyes, right? You're going to lose your vision, but you are not able to see the ultraviolet rays. But there is ultraviolet rays, right, which you can't see with your naked eye. Similarly, when Saturn's period happens, general saying is that there is some kind of an energy emitted by the planet that falls on your body and mind, and that's when people say that it's your this is the beginning of your end. Your doomsday starts now, right? So it's a period, it's a payback period. So when you apply gingerly oil and when you take a bath, it actually acts as an insulation, a protective shield from the malefic effects of Saturn. It's like you wear a some kind of a jacket to protect against radioactive energy or nuclear energy, right? Similarly, this oil acts as an insulation. It's just a coating on your body to prevent it from the negative effects of Saturn. So avoid non-vegetarian food. Saturdays you can go to a temple and pray Saturn. You can feed crows. Saturn's vehicle is crow, right? So if you feed crows every morning, then Saturn gets pleased. That's what is mentioned in scriptures, right? Generally, even if Saturn doesn't get pleased, I think giving food to birds is very good. It actually reduces your negative karma. If you are in Ketu, you need to give food for black dogs. Not only black dogs, you need to feed dogs. So you can escape from the malefic effects of Saturn to some extent. You'll be exempted to some extent, right? Instead of taking maybe $100 from you, okay, I'm going to exempt 50% of it. You give me $50, that's fine. You're a good guy, I'll leave you. You lost your ego. So why we need to give food to the crow? Why we need to help poor people, especially people who are old and they are lame, they are not able to walk us. All these things are done to reduce your ego, right? So when you go in your car, when you see an old man sitting on the side of the road, and if you're a very egoistic person who thinks, okay, I'm successful in life, troubles can't come to me, you won't even stop your car and buy him a morsel of food. But then when you actually get a hit in your life, that you actually know what's the reality of life, and you think that when I am going through so much problem, what about people on the street, so let me help them. So let me help them come out of their hell. So what you do is you park your car, you buy some food, you give it to him, you give some money to him. So all these things are reducing your ego, right? Avoiding non-vegetarian food, hey, I don't care if that, animal dies, bleeds or jumps with pain, I just need a very tasty food this afternoon. So you don't care if that animal is crying in pain, you are only bothered about the food that you are eating, right? So this to an extent is again negative karma. And I'm not saying this because I'm a vegetarian and all those stuff. You ask any people who eat meat, they'll say that they can't stand in the butcher shop. They can't watch an animal being killed. They can't do it themselves. But they say that I can eat it. So when you can't do it, right, when you can't watch it for 2 minutes, then how can you do it? So you know that it's not actually the best thing to do. You can survive with vegetables and fruits, but then you eat it because, oh, it's so tasty, it's nutritious. That's what people say. So you want to satisfy your taste buds at the cost of an animal giving its life. So life is precious. Life is saved. Go ahead and save animals. Do good things to good people. Obey Saturn. Don't do bad things during Saturn's phase, right? Don't get into illegal affairs. Don't get into money laundering, cheating people, lying, living a fake life. Saturn hates all that. Become a very nice guy. Do good things to people. Help people. Go to a temple and light, a diya or, some kind of a lamp with a gingerly oil if you are a Hindu. If you belong to other religions, then probably you can help the poor. That's the best way to do it, because a person who's very much sitting on the pedestal of ego will not do these things. So when you actually come to the road, Saturn makes you grounded. Hey, don't jump too much. You are nothing before me. Imagine that you are just a speck of dust in this universe, right? You are just a speck of dust. Your existence, your money, your name, your fame, your titles, all these things are going to come with you only till you go to the grave. Graveyard is a reality. Only when you breathe, right? Life process happens. Once the inhalation and exhalation stops, life gets over. So be a good guy. You're going to live till 70 or 80. Don't be a bad guy. Don't do bad things to others, or I'll actually pay you back. You get it from me. So that's an opportunity to actually correct yourself, right? It's like an improvement plan. It's an individual development plan given by an unseen force. You learn mistakes by experiences. That's the best way. If somebody is going to advise you, hey, be a nice man, speak truth, help poor people, you're not going to do it. You will say, who are you to advise me? Get lost, right? Only when you go through pain, only when you go through suffering, you will actually learn what life is. So Saturn and Ketu are karmic planets. They are here to teach you. They want you not to be very materialistic in life. Do good to poor people. So whoever is on the path of doing good things to others, who doesn't wish bad things to others, no envy, no pride, no lust, no lying, doing good things to people, Saturn will spare them, because he is a good cop, he is a bad cop. Right? So if you follow all the road rules, right, if you wear a helmet, if you have all the driving license with you, insurance, everything, then why is the cop going to find you, right? You follow all the rules of the road. But if you are not like that, then Saturn will take over you. That said, Saturn is also related to your past birth karma. So even if you are a great person in this life, even if you are a gem of a person, Saturn will give you a challenging time. It is going to test you. The litmus test happens, and be ready for it. So for those of you who are in their 7.5 Saturn, for those of you who are in their Ardhashtama Shani, which is 4th house Saturn from your zodiac, Ashtama Shani, 8th house, do good things, and please Saturn, see you in my next video. Bye bye.